Texas and Florida this weekend, Joe. Florida coming off a really tough loss against Georgia. Texas trying to get some of the stink off of them after a Georgia loss. Your thoughts going into this game?
First of all, if this game's close, then it's very, very concerning for Texas because you're going up against, for 4 quarters, a guy who was on Yale's roster last year who didn't even play. A kid who joined this coaching staff, transferred from Yale, was not even the starter for Yale last year. Aiden Warner did a couple of nice things, but didn't exactly take over. It was the run game. It was the defensive performance by Florida. My biggest thing, this is an opportunity for Texas to continue to reestablish themselves after it feels like they lost their footing from the Georgia game. You know what? One thing for me that's been really odd, Blake, for this Texas team, we talked a lot in the offseason, and a lot of people have hyped up what this passing attack can be. Their leading receiver this year is Gunnar Helm, who's their tight end with 419 yards. Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden, who have made some really big plays, like they are not the reason, are behind him with 380 and 332. I need to see in this game that they, outside of trying to get the run game going against a team that has a bad run defense, connect with your receivers more. Like, I feel like they have lost some of their juice in the passing attack that looked like it was going to be so prolific in the first couple of weeks.
Here's the interesting thing about this one in reference to Warner. Did you hear Billy Napier today saying that the DJ Lagway injury was far less severe than they even anticipated, that no, he's not going to be out for the season, and that he's not already technically out against Texas. Now, Billy can be playing some matchups.
That would be some serious gymnastics if he was doing that, which would be pretty funny.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I fully agree. And here's the truth. You don't need to play him regardless. Like, don't make an injury worse. Like, don't play him because you got to save your job here. You know, like, don't do that. So what it kind of felt like a little bit to some extent, but not completely. I mean, Billy did kind of sell it. He kind of said, like, hey, man, I mean, it was her, but it's like, it's not like a tear or anything, you know, like, so again, we'll see. However, you are correct. I think Texas has got to get off to a really good start here. You know what would get the Georgia loss stank off of them? If you do something that Georgia couldn't and go out there and you beat the dog shit out of Florida. That's what could really do it. Be like, all right, you caught us, but we responded against Florida. So I still see a Florida team, though, man, that I get what you're saying. I know Warner's going to probably or likely, you know, we talk about this on a Monday, might play. Man, I don't know how much I trust Texas at the current moment, if I'm being real with you. Like, are they probably going to win this game? Yeah. You know, like, there's a lot of things that I probably think is going to happen in this game. But why do I feel like that they're not going to ever truly separate? Like, I feel like they're never going to.
They've done that all year. They've done that all year. They've played around with their food in some matchups. Like the Vanderbilt game is a game that they should have quickly separated, and they didn't.
Well, I mean, again, that game specifically comes off another Quinn Ewers turnover. How many times are you going to have a turnover and the team goes right around, you give them full momentum and they score? Then what was it, a pick six? Then a pick six or something like that. I forget how that game started off. Maybe it was Alabama that was the pick six. Maybe I'm misremembering. Yeah. Okay. Regardless, I know that Ewers either led off the game with an interception. They go down and score against Vandy. They lose against win for 3 against Vandy. Good for you. Like, good, but they're still much better athletes on Florida that actually care about playing for Billy. Joe, you don't stay as close in that game like you did last week if you hate your coach. Sorry, you don't. I mean,
that is true.
You could say whatever you want about Billy. That locker room at this current moment has not just fallen off on him. You know what it feels like to me? Remember when Jordan Travis went down last year?
Yes.
Everybody was playing for that team. Nobody was taking it. Now you got to.
Well, very, very different. One team was still in a national championship.
Yeah, very different. Very different defenses, very different team. Philosophy still the same. I can tell when effort and buy-ins on a program in a culture. And that's what Florida has. Make what you want about them. You're probably going to win the football game. You're probably going to win it big. All right? You go ahead and play around with them if you want to. Go right on ahead, because you get in a game like this and a team like this, Joe, I'm not, no, not when you're doing what you're doing against Vandy. You make stupid mistakes, you're going to win stupid prizes. Joe, they still ran the football on Georgia, even though DJ Lagway was out. They still were lining up and running it right at them, and they couldn't do shit about it. And that's Georgia. Like, this is a big deal. It's not like they were doing that against Kansas State or some stupid shit. They were literally lining it up and saying, Georgia will come right at you. Don't play around with them. You better take them very seriously.
Right. And before we get out of here, like, that's something that we see all the time with these teams that are just upset machines. I mean, South Carolina did it. We're not upset machines, but scrappy and playing opponents closer than everybody expected. You know, this is a team that is fighting a lot more than everybody thought that they were going to be. Way more. And if Texas comes out goofing around and they're not seeing it as an opponent that they should be dominating, you're right. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't. I think that Texas is going to play really good football. You mentioned it's November. It's the most important month of the year. Teams have to play their best football, and they need to be firing on all cylinders. And this is a game where they're going to need to be locked in.
Better.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.